You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from episode 7 of Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast. It's 2017, and we're getting ready for our first interview ever with comic writer Kyle Starks. We're fresh and faced and fancy-free with Troy Little on Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Brandon, where are we? I feel like I slept for a really long time.
I feel like we're in 2017. It was longer. That intro was longer than I wanted it to be. Original sound for musicians is off, and now we're going hard and we're going quick for Interdimensional RSS.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Travis. That, of course, is Brandon.
Yes.
And we are gearing up for season 8 of Rick and Morty. It is right around the corner. But we have something very special planned for this episode to deal with something that is within the Rick and Morty universe, but isn't necessarily directly tied to the TV show. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more later. But before we do, let's get all the important stuff out of the way. Let's give you all the social media links that you're just dying to hear us rattle off in short order. First and foremost, are we still doing this X one? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, you could do it.
Rick and Morty Pod. If you're still hanging out there, if that's your thing, you could try it. Rick and Morty Pod. We're there on X.
You're still a friend of us. You're still our friend.
We don't judge you.
We don't. I'm still on there, doom scrolling because I want to see what kind of doom and gloom is heading my way.
See, I got out of there and now I'm doom scrolling on Blue Sky, where you can find us at rickandmortypod.bsky.social. You can always find us on Instagram, Rick and Morty Podcast, and on Facebook, rickandmorty.com/Rick and Morty Podcast. And then send us email, rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on the subreddits, the official Rick and Morty subreddit, or our subreddit, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com. And then we have a website, rickandmortypod.com. If you want video versions of the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm. And you want to support our podcast, you can go to patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm. Support this show and all the other podcasts that we're doing, including brand new podcasts, Brandon. Available very soon, I'm hoping.
Yeah, there's already an episode out, the introduction episode, right, of Our Real Relationships with me and Chelsea, where we talk about movies. We talk about movies that helped that we know and we love, and then also we want to bring on family, we want to bring on friends, and even if they don't want to come on, we'll talk about their movies.
Just force them.
We talked to our family yesterday. They're like, well, I'll give you the movie, but I don't want to be on the show. Like, that's fair enough.
But podcasting's not for everybody, but I'm excited for you guys. Congrats on the new show. And check that out. All of our socials. You can follow Our Real Relationships on their socials as well. I'm sure links are all, in all the places. They're in all the places.
Instagram and Blue Sky. They're there. No X. No way. No,
we're moving away. All right. That's it for socials. Thank you for being here. It's time for us to jump right into this podcast. Lots to cover. So let's start in our first segment, which is always semi-pertinent news.
Semi-pertinent news coming to you today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Semi-Pertinent News, the section where we talk about the news that is semi-pertinent to Rick and Morty. Let's go ahead and get it started. Travis, we got a lot of stuff going on.
So much happening in the world. So much happening in the universe of Rick and Morty. One of the biggest things that has come out as we gear up towards the start of season 8 is the fact that they have released all of the episode titles for season 8. They've put these out on their various social media platforms. I think there's a YouTube video that kind of covers all of them as well. And what we want to talk about is the fact that these exist without getting into too much detail because we're all very excited here at the Interdimensional RSS team about having the episode titles, but that's content we don't want to squander on a simple, semi-pertinent news story. We're getting in deep. We're gonna theory craft. we're gonna have all kinds of ideas. So look for our full breakdown of the upcoming episode titles in a future episode. But is there anything else that I don't know you want to talk about with the episode titles before we get into that?
What was interesting was they released the episode titles, but then they also released the the animatics for scenes from each of the episodes. So again, we will cover this on our next episode,
right?
Because we want to, because that's content. That's
content
that's
we can't squander in a moment such as this.
That's that good.
That's that good content. All right, so moving on from episode titles. If you want to know what the episode titles are, please go out, get spun up on them. Let us know your thoughts on what some of these episodes might be, and maybe we'll discuss that in our next episode. So a little plug, a little call to action for you. Go get after that.
Yeah, and Travis, today is the day that everyone is raving about. We're recording this on Sunday, the day Jesus was born.
Yes, yeah. Easter Sunday, the day that was a holiday so near and dear to your heart that it wasn't until probably 2 p.m. that you realized it was Easter. When I told you I was out with my family doing Easter things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Easter. That's right. That's why the stores are all closed.
Yeah, and just a real quick side note, I feel like a lot more stores are closed this Easter than they have been in the past. Like Target, Lowe's, Best Buy, they were all shut down.
Our country's changing, Brandon. Our country is moved and is on a new path.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's about time you recognize it.
That's why I'm getting on board.
Anyway, there's a clip. There's a Rick and Morty clip that's out where Jerry is excitedly preparing for Easter. He's making little paper cutout eggs. He's stuffing Easter baskets. He's doing an improvised recreation of a Christmas Carol, but it's more of an Easter song now, the way he sings it. And he's visiting all of the rest of the Smith family, trying to get them in the spirit of Easter. Morty's too busy live streaming Fortnite. I think they just added JFK as a character in there. Summer is packing for spring break, I think. And I think Beth just can't be bothered. She's watching TV or something like that. Rick's dumping some sort of alien down the drain. But yeah, it's a great clip and looks like, kind of linking back to the leaked episode titles and the clip that we got with the announcement of the new season. Mm-hmm. Definitely picking up on an Easter theme, and seeing as today is Easter, in true Rick and Morty fashion, a holiday episode that isn't necessarily on or around the holiday in our timeline. So all the makings of a great future episode for Rick and Morty.
I look forward to it. I know you all look forward to it as well. But Travis, here's something that I'm looking forward to. I've been looking forward to this next segment for maybe almost 2 years. It feels like 2 years. It's the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
It's the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. It's the only part of the show where you get me to sing. Hey,
hey, all right, that's good, man. You've been really working that.
I've been working with a vocal coach. They're really. We're gonna get somewhere. So Dan's been off Twitter for a minute. Dan was using Instagram intermittently for a while. This used to be like the tweet of the week, and now it was Social Media Minute. Now that I'm on Blue Sky, I'm seeing Dan again. Dan is sharing his thoughts. He is communicating his feelings through whatever you call a Blue Sky post. And this one stood out to me this week. Dan is kind of going through this series where he is sharing sort of real world current events through the lens of Black Mirror episode synopsises. And so this one that he posted on April 17th says, Black Mirror Season 8, Episode 2, The SSB Anthony. 6 influential women launched into orbit by an online shopping mall discover mid-voyage that Earth perceives space as tacky and fast food chains are mocking them. Each must choose between tweeting through it or risking exposure of their purchase histories. So there you go. Black Mirror, we're living in it. And Dan is sharing it with us on the social internet. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
If you want to follow Dan on Blue Sky, he's danharmon.bsky.social.
Nice.
This is not a paid advertisement.
No, it's not.
And that's your social media minute.
Woo! Thanks, Travis. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The new season of Black Mirror is interesting. We could talk about that on AE sometime, but
yeah, there's so many shows coming out. I like we have to wrap this up pretty quick so I can go watch The Last of Us. A lot of things happening.
I haven't caught up on Last of Us. I need Andor starts on Tuesday.
Man, well, we might need to squeeze an apathetic enthusiasm in before
Daredevil's season 1 is over.
So much to talk about. But that's the wrong show. That's the wrong show. All right.
Yeah.
So that's it for semi-pertinent news. If you have a semi-pertinent Rick and Morty story that you think we should cover, hit us up on any of our socials. Let us know. When we come back from this break, we have an exclusive interview with writer and artist of Rick and Morty comics, Kyle Starks and Troy Little. We'll get all into that as soon as we come back, so stick around. We'll be back. All right, everybody. Thank you for sticking around while we pay the bills. It is now time for us to get into, the reason you probably downloaded this episode. It's time for the main thing.
Main thing.
That's the main thing.
Main thing.
All right.
Yeah.
What do we got this week, Brandon?
Dude, man. I as I said in the intro, I botched the intro because I wrote way too much. I shouldn't have written as much as I did. But we have an interview today, as you said, with Kyle and Troy. We talked to Kyle Starks way back in the day, episode 7 of this show. He was our first interview ever. I don't know where I was. I was probably on a work trip somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was really weird. Like we had just started the podcast, probably like a couple months prior. I don't think season 3 had even started yet. And
I don't think so.
We were geographically separated. We had just started kind of podcasting regularly, not from the same place. And I think you maybe had work or something. I think you might have still been in Hawaii. And I think the timing was just off to when he was available. And so it was I guess I have to interview it by myself. Yeah. And so that was what? Close.
It was
7 years ago or something. How long ago was that?
Yeah, it was 2017. I think it was February or March. So yeah, it was before the April Fool's episode. And yeah, it's crazy. And listening back to that episode, by the way, everybody, there's a reason I don't listen back to myself for editing, because I even the intro now, I'm like, hey, then I was like, here it is. It's interdimensional RSS, the unofficial. Look at us, we're having fun.
We've come into our own a little bit over the years with podcasting, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've definitely grown. We've changed. And yeah, in this time, Rick and Morty comics have changed and developed as well. So much so that they are now 10 years worth of Rick and Morty comics that are available for purchase. And as of the recording of this episode, we have maybe a week left on a Kickstarter that is a collection, an omnibus of 10 years worth of Rick and Morty comics. There's a special comic that Kyle and Troy worked on to celebrate this 10-year anniversary. And yeah, it's just really a cool project celebrating, a decade of Rick and Morty content. And the guy sat down with us for a little while to talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was fun. It was interesting. And as we get started, you'll see why it was really interesting for us to watch them interact. Uh, Spoiler: I'm not going to spoil why it's interesting, but you'll see it within the first couple minutes. But I think, Travis, without any further hesitation or pausing, let's get right into it. Our interview with Kyle Starks and Troy Little. Hello, guys. Thank you. This is how we start. I just awkwardly jump into things, which is how I got married.
Same.
22 years ago. Yeah. So welcome. Thank you guys both for being here, taking some time out of your days or your nights to chat with us a little bit about what's going on. You guys have both worked on the Rick and Morty comics pretty extensively. Kyle, I want to shout you out because you were actually our first interviewee that we've ever had on this show, on episode 7 way back in February of 2017. So,
Yeah. So
and
what have you been up to for the last 8 years?
Return of the King.
I want to see if your daughter's arm is healed after it was broken, and then you ditched the hospital to talk to Travis.
Yes, her arm. That's so funny. I wonder which broken arm of my daughter's it was. I had 2 of them. 2017 was a 7-year. Was it basketball injury? Was it a basketball?
It might have been. It was also on, I think, one of your children's birthdays.
Yes, that's right.
So
tough to say.
A birthday party. Anyway, yeah.
They both have full range of movement now. Very healthy, very strong. We love them both. They're doing great.
That's very great to hear. Of course, we are here talking about this amazing Kickstarter that is the 10th anniversary omnibus library. Such an amazing collection of comics. Congratulations to you both. And as of the recording, as we're doing this, there are still 20 days to go on the Kickstarter. Only 246,000 pledged of the 10,000 goal. So I'm really pulling for you guys that you're gonna make it. Cutting it close.
I believe in us. I believe we can do this.
I think you can do it.
I think this podcast could put us over the limit. In fact, I think
that's right. If you're listening, go support the Kickstarter right now.
We need the support, though.
Yeah.
We want to see that. We want to see that 1 million stretch goal.
Absolutely.
The mystery 1 million stretch goal. So we need to quadruple. We have 20 days to quadruple this thing.
Yeah, not a problem. Not with this podcast's reach. No.
Oh yeah, perfect.
No
That's
problem.
what we love.
Thanks, guys.
To hear.
Yeah, appreciate that.
How much was that? I gotta go in my wallet.
So when you first saw sort of the premise for this collection with 5 hardcover volumes and sleeves, foil covers, like, what was your initial reaction when you saw the whole idea come together?
Well, I mean, I'm excited to exist. I can't say enough. Like, I worked on this book for 5 years. Pretty much half of those issues are mine. So I'm thrilled that they're collected in one place. I'm super excited for all the people who will never go into a comic shop who are going to see this and pick it up, and because they love Rick and Morty and they love Rick and Morty content, they're going to get a ton of at least 50% of 100 great stories. I can guarantee, and I'm pretty sure at least 35 of the next 50 are also very, very good. So that's like for me, like, when you work on a project this long, and this is the longest project that I've worked on handedly, to see it collected in one place is exhilarating and thrilling and gratifying. And so I'm stoked about that. But I really am stoked. The thing that I love about Kickstarter for these types of properties is, just as I said, there's a lot of people who will never go to a shop. And I do less than I did when Rick and Morty was very popular and I was on it full time. I do 20 to 30 shows every year, and still I didn't know they had a comic. I didn't know there was a comic. And it's like, yeah, we've been doing it since right after season 1. We've been doing it for a very long time. And I would say objectively, they're mostly very good and exactly what you'd want if you're a Rick and Morty fan. So the great thing about Kickstarter is for those people who've never been to a comic shop, they've never seen, or they saw the books in the, at Barnes and Nobles, but they don't know what it is. They assume it's an art book, or I think a lot of people are going to take a gamble on this as fans of the show, and they're going to be greatly rewarded. And that is what's most exciting to me.
How about you? How about you, Troy?
For me, I'm a complete interloper. I've inserted myself into a world I don't belong. Most of the work that I've done on Rick and Morty has been kind of on the periphery with Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons or Rick and Morty versus Cthulhu series, which I don't think are collected in this box set. This is the 100 issue main core series, right?
Well, so the main series was 60 issues. So I don't. Okay. So if they ask us this question, Troy, I can't answer. Is that what are the next 40 issues? I'm not for sure. So
yeah, you're here. I know this.
Is Dungeons and Dragons in there? It seems like it should be. My suspicion would be they did a series of one shots, but that was like 8 issues, which was like there's a Sleepy Gary and there's and I would bet like Pocket If You Stole It, which was Teenie Howard and Mark Ellerby would be in there, and I would like to think Sarah Graylee's Summer series would be in there. That's another 10 issues. So I don't know the Dungeons and Dragons, because it's a license thing.
And
but I wouldn't be surprised
IDW, I was feeling that is its own exclusion.
The Cthulhu stuff could be in there. We will not be good promoters in this regard. So I'm not, because I'm not for sure. I was like, man, I wonder what the other 40 is. And like I said, there was 10 issues. There was basically 1 year that's existed before I came on, and I was as hands deep and judgy as possible of all the yours is, by the way, one of my favorite. I was supposed to do that Dungeons and Dragons book. I don't know if you've heard this story. I will gladly lament about how angry it makes me. But ironically, Troy, as I tangent around as we're on someone else's interview, the story that I wanted when they're like, oh, we're thinking about doing this Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to do it now. I'll just tell the story now. They're thinking about doing this Dungeons and Dragons thing. I was like, awesome. I think I have a pretty good idea, I think. And then they were like, Patrick Rothfuss is coming in, and Jim Zub's going to work with them. And I was like, oh, I'm just out. And James Lucas Jones, who was the head of Oni at the time, was like, we didn't think that you would be very patient with Patrick Rothfuss. And I was like, well, that is correct. I was like, that is objectively correct. But the story I was going to pitch is more or less the story we did for the reprintable issue. That was the one I've been sitting on this whole time. Okay. That I was mad. I was mad I didn't get to do with you because I loved your art on Dungeons and Dragons so much. And so when they asked me, I was like, well, I do have one story that I was mad never got made. I've been angry in so many ways, and like finally I get to tell my story. And they're like, we're like, because I just assumed it was going to be Ellerby because we did 20, I don't know, a bunch of issues together, right? I just assumed. And so like, no, it's not going to be. I'm like, well, I only have one suggestion, and it's I want Troy to draw the thing that he would have been drawing for me in the first place. However many years ago, 6 years ago, or however long.
Oh, that's great. I did not know that. Yes, the only thing I can say for sure that I know of that is my work in this entire box set is the unreprintable that we worked on together. So I feel like I should be Mark Ellerby here talking about this because he did most of the work in that project. Like I'm coming in like this little super gonna.
I bet you have more in there than you think. I bet there's more than just one thing. But Ellerby. As far as I know, I have 48. I don't know if I have 48. I might only have 46 because 2 were like these new comic book day like oversized things. So I don't know if I don't know if I have 48 or 46. But as far as I know, Ellerby's worked on like literally like he's been there since issue 1 doing backups, and there's maybe like a couple of issues, like literally, I think like it's going to be like 75%, 80% Ellerby.
Yeah, and I figure he hates me. We've never met, me and Mark, but I'm sure he hates me for just kind of like swooping in and taking all the glory for this box set that he's worked so hard on.
I bet he loves it. I bet he loves not having to do it. He's a nice British boy. I'm going to see him at MCM London in a month, so I'll ask him how. Because I was like, every time I mention, because it's like, I'm not saying I want to do it. It's like you go, oh, I'm so stoked. I worked for this for 5 years. I'm so excited to work with Troy. He's the one artist I never got to work with. I was worried, which is true. But I was like, I should find some way to squeeze Ellerby in because he did all of these. Like they're all him, but there's no there's no place to do it. Like there's no room to be like. And while I'm talking about artists, let me just go ahead and shout out Mark Ellerby Like, nope. He's got to do his own promotion. This is Troy and Stark's time. All right.
Okay. Well, tell him I said hi.
I will.
Well, I mean, being that it's been what close to 5 years since you were working on these books, what kind of excited you the most about coming back to Rick and Morty and working on something again for the unreprintable issue?
For me, my massive ego.
Okay, good.
I love to be given the recognition I feel I deserve as the longest tenured writer on the book. Like I feel like let me make sure I'm not just. I feel like if you're going to be like, hey, we're going to put the all-star team together, right? It would be me and Ellerby. But I say this sincerely. I think after Ellerby, I think Troy did the best. I think legitimately did the best, consistent, strongest Rick and Morty art. So, and who I don't know who Daniel Kibblesmith. I don't know who Tini Howard. I don't know who's after me. I'd have to see a list of who wrote a bunch. Oh, Sasha, probably Sasha Furr. So it was like, so if my ego is so big, it's just like I was so nice that like, oh, I get to be the special one because I feel like maybe with 5 years and having contributed to half the box set, like I warrant that. So it's super nice to have been asked. That was the best part. And it's like going home. Like I love these characters. I did it for that long because I love them.
And for me, it was like stepping into the main series for the first time because I've always been in a Rick and Morty versus kind of scenario. We did 2 of the Dungeons and Dragons books, and then they sent me this nice little hardcover Cthulhu one that just came out.
Hey, that's
so
awesome.
Rick and Morty versus Cthulhu. So it's the first time kind of like I want to say working the legit Rick and Morty universe in a sense, you know. And then so not having that kind of like that versus mentality, like what am I going to get to do that's totally going to be very different from what I've already done in a sense, you know. And Kyle brought some really cool stuff to for me to draw. Really play with some chuck and muck stuff on the page, which I absolutely had so much fun with. I could have done a much larger issue than we did with that kind of motif going on in it. You kind of have to see it, which is to say you should go back to Kickstarter and see it yourself. Highly collectible. That was one of the funny things too, is as the artist on this very specific thing that you can only get within the Kickstarter is you want to share your work with people. You want people to see what you do, and you put your hard work into it, and knowing it's probably going to be just the elites,
That's right.
CGCing it all as quickly as possible. It was like, do I really want to do that? But stories were really fun. And I'm like, yeah, I really want to draw this anyways. And just kind of lean into that. Well, it's a physical object and I'm in a world filled with stuff right now. And I just want physical things out in the world. So go CGC give us it. That's fine.
They'll give us like 20 copies to share. They'll give us like 20 copies.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, well, 20 copies.
Yeah.
And then you CGC them, and then
Dude, if I was smart, but I'm not. That's so I'll sell them for too cheap at a table somewhere.
I don't know if did you ever see the cover I did for issue 100, Kyle? It was 100, right? So I had Rick and Morty just ripping up the cover because they're like, we have to destroy this comic. It's before we get slabbed and graded.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course, I've just been waiting for people to come up with to get it CGC signed and stuff like that now. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was.
Yeah.
Troy, did you do the art for the D&D addition to it too?
Yeah.
Like all this stuff.
Yeah, so that was a funny, weird kind of like flip-flop in the whole thing where we did the comic book, and the Wizards of the Coast liked the idea so much that they got both Jim and I back to do the actual 5e edition box set of it. So yeah, if you've got that, I did the big DM screen and all the little things, and Jim wrote a Rick module. It was absolutely impossible. And that was fun because we did a few like YouTubes where we would go and play through some of the game where Jim would be Rick DMing it and I'd be his Morty, which is just kind of like our working dynamic anyways, where he would just like, hey, I want you to draw all this stupid stuff. Do what I tell you. I'm Rick Sanchez kind of thing. So I took his abuse and it was fun.
That's awesome. Because we, Travis and I, we both absolutely love all the D&D Rick and Morty. we have the module. We want to do it someday. We keep saying this. Someday we're going to do the module and we'll record it. But
Oh yeah.
in the end, we're both too lazy and too busy to do that. But
full-time employed as well.
Mm.
We have to carve out some other time. You're talking kind of about like what you brought into this new unreprintable issue. Though, like, what was the creative process like for you, for both of you? Was it like sort of more collaborative, or did you work independently and sort of, Kyle, you come up with the story and then Troy, you're looking at those and just coming up with, or is it more collaborative?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a type A monster. I'm just a monster. I try to always, I always want it to be the thing that people want it to be, but I also kind of hope that some of it's fun for the artist, that it's not a terrible grog. And that's part, like, I'm not sure how it breaks down, because we did somehow 2 unreprintable issues, but it's like one of them's like 8 pages. I don't understand what they're doing in that regard. They don't tell us everything. But that 8-issue thing, I kind of wanted to, spoilers, sort of maybe see, because I killed the comic book universe in issue 60. I destroyed the comic book universe, dimension of the multiverse or whatever. But I kind of wanted to go back to it one more time and really lean into how what you've seen since issue 60 is full on a comic universe. And there's not any artist you could ask to do this, but Troy's very good. So I thought we would do some fun formulous things where, like, the sort of characters would exist outside of they knew they were in a comic book. Like, basically Rick recognizes immediately that they're in a comic book universe. So we do very formulous things with panels, and so Troy has mentioned it like 3 times. So I guess like that was fun, which is what you hope. You hope like someone doesn't go, "Oh my God, what an awful challenge of me having to do things I don't normally do." But like, so for stuff like that, you consider the artist. Again, I hate to keep it. LRB was great for everything. Like, you could throw anything at him, and I could see from the D&D stuff that I've seen from Troy, like, he 100% could handle it too. And it's like, this might be fun for him. I was like, this will either be hateful or it'll be fun. But yeah, I wish I am open. I am open to suggestions, but almost I don't know, Troy. I don't know what the percentage. Like, the script is done by the time an artist sees it, right?
Oh yeah, he's full puppet master.
Yeah.
If I'm above me now, he's doing this, and
yeah. But that being said, like, it's not like someone's like, "Hey, I got an idea for a donkey." I'm like, "Tell me your donkey idea. Maybe it's better than the idea that I pitched to them already, but let's hear it." But yeah, I'm super type A. I'm not probably fun in that way to work with. I just seen him for the first time today.
Hey, that's what we do. We're matchmakers.
Yeah, it's our first meeting.
I had so much fun with it because it was really leaning into like the magic of what comics can do in a visual medium. So playing with zip tone and trying to make it look like, feel a comic book universe when you see it, kind of thing. Playing with the characters moving in and outside of the panels and the margins and things, and just messing with the form. I mean, you don't always get to play like that. So for me, it was a lot of fun. Like, 8 pages wasn't enough, I could have done a lot more with that. But yeah, no, they were great. So
you heard him, Kyle. Give him more scripts.
And in the second script now, he did jam pack that sucker. I had to really figure out there's a lot in here happening in a very short amount of time. Every page was almost a new design of location, new, like, it just came at you. He threw everything at you at the last minute,
I try to be. I have a thing, especially for licensed books like this, where I try not to give an artist more than 6 panels on a page because we're working. But like, this did require, like, I think it maybe still was kind of 6 panels, but it was a complicated 6 panels on a couple of them. After that script, there may be apologies on, which is rare that I go, "Hey, sorry."
It's okay. I hold over Jim Zub's head when he gave me the Dungeons and Dragons Meeseeks 2-page spread where he just writes, an infinite number of Meeseeks are sieging a castle,
Yeah.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
I'll never let him live that down, and he will be buying me drinks for the rest of my life at every convention we meet.
Now, see, Troy, if I had done the Dungeons and Dragons like originally planned, and obviously would have been superior, I would have had someone looks out the window of the castle and says, "It looks like an unlimited number of Meeseeks are coming towards the castle."
So it all happened off screen, which would be
That's
great.
exactly
Yeah.
that's exactly right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. Whoa,
So
I've never seen so many. It's like
Yeah.
someone would have to draw for days to get this many done.
Yeah, wow. I'm gonna have to speak to the person in charge there, the editor on that one.
And I would have done it as a 2-page splash too. Still, as he's looking
That's
out the window, as he's looking out a very small window in an
I
empty
love that.
room. Yeah,
Oh my God. Actually, that's brilliant. I love that.
professional writer.
That's good stuff.
That's you know what that is? Is that I'm a cartoonist and Jim Zub isn't. That's the difference. Is I'm like I wouldn't draw that.
Yeah, I mean, Jim has got a good visual sense to him for sure,
Yeah,
and I think you're
he
right
does.
when you were talking about working with Rothfuss and stuff like that because he hadn't had the experience working in comics, and so Jim definitely kind of I think helped lead him through the story. So if
Yeah.
there'd be scenes come in and stuff like that, I could kind of tell if Jim had a final pass on it or if it was just straight Rothfuss and it never got through his Jim's filter and stuff. And so there was a lot of kind of like, well, you don't have the visual sense to kind of understand. You can't discover a secret passage, open the door, and go down the passage in one panel.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't have the light blinks on and off. Panel 4, the light blinks on and off.
exactly. Yeah. So, but I mean, it worked out surprisingly well, despite it all. I mean, really, that thing could have been a nightmare between D&D, Rick and Morty, Wizards of the Coast, and Cartoon Network, and all that. And it went surprisingly smoothly. So, knock on wood, I guess that's when professionals are bringing their A game. So we made it work, or we made it look like it worked, anyways.
I wanted to ask as far as the Kickstarter, right? So the Rick and Morty comics, they've been going on a long time. All these different variations, one shots. They've got the special editions, Pickle Rick, and they've got the Meeseeks, and they got the Sleepy Gary,
Sure.
issues. Little Poopy Superstar back in the day.
Love it.
Pocket Mortys. When they're talking about let's do it. Let's do something special. How did the whole Kickstarter idea get kicked around?
Well, that's above our pay grade.
Oh,
I don't want to possibly pull back the curtain, but I would certainly think that the success of the G.I. Joe Kickstarter made a lot of people go, "What if we collected everything?" It seems like it's working out pretty well on Kickstarter. That would be my suspicion, but it is also the 10-year anniversary, and you want to do something special. And Oni's under new. I don't know what we're allowed to talk about and not talk about without getting in trouble. We need like a PR person to be like, no. I mean,
no, you should say everything.
Yeah.
Like, who was that?
Somebody said we could say anything.
Okay, so I mean, Oni is like, Image and Oni were my first two publishing companies, and I was with Oni for 5 years with Build Them All and Dead of Winter and Rick and Morty and maybe other stuff, Invader Zim. So they're kind of like a home to me, and I love those guys. But there's new management now. There's new management, and the new management seems very eager to make sure people are aware of Oni and that like Oni's making good stuff and Oni has made good stuff. And I think this is a very smart move because you reach that audience that's outside of comic shops. And if you're a publisher like Oni that's not Marvel, DC, Image, you're not in every shop. Like for sure, you're not in every single comic shop. And so it's smart. It's just a really smart way to take advantage of having this really great property that is widely beloved and how to get the most eyes on it. And I'm certain all those were parts of it. I would bet that G.I. Joe Kickstarter didn't hurt.
Yeah. I mean, they put together some nice packages, like the Scott Pilgrim box set that looks like a PS. I got that, and it's phenomenally designed. Like it's just a beautiful little box set. So if you want to collect something and have it all in this like gorgeous little unit, that's a great way to go.
Yeah, they did that 6-gun Kickstarter collection too, right?
Yeah.
Did I make that up in my head? So like they did like a dry run with Kickstarter. I think it's really smart for these great properties that they have to find a way, because I just did an interview. We just did a written interview where I said the thing is like comics aren't just for people going to comic shops, and we're remiss that in 2025 there aren't spinner racks at grocery stores, there aren't news agents at airports where it's like, oh, here's a really cheap thing that will be passingly entertaining and it's fun and you can look at it over and over. Like that's kind of gone in so many ways. And as I'd say right now, like it's digital and it's Kickstarter are the only ways you're going to engage people. I remember, and it's unrelated to this great, brilliant Rick and Morty Kickstarter that everyone should support, but people were sort of miffed Matt Kent's a very good friend of mine, that they did Berserker with Keanu Reeves as a Kickstarter. It's like, well, Keanu has billions of fans who will never go into a comic shop. So that's who he wants to engage, is his audience. And it's like, this is a great method for that. I'm sure that's all playing into it. Also, legitimately, if you're going to have an item that's sort of a luxury item, which is what this Kickstarter box set is, you can get just our comic for a reasonable price, foil printed, I believe. Is that right, Troy? It's got a foil cover or something.
Oh God, there's so many iterations of a different box print art.
Oh no, for ours.
Oh, for ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some foil ones and
I think there's a foil one. So you can get just the unreprintable issue for like $20, I think. And we're here for that. Me and Troy are like, yes. Thumbs up to that. We get royalties on that. We love it. If you just want to buy one Rick and Morty thing, check out our issue. But the other thing is such a luxury. It's an expensive item, and if you only did that in comic stores with the 2,500 or however many the today the number, like that's a money losing venture, right? So it makes that available to the people who would be interested and able. It's smart. It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. It's great to be able to pre-order that way and see all the different specific, because like you can kind of like tailor your own box set. Oh, I want this specific one, that one, that, not just what you walk in and come across, or I think having the options there to kind of like pick and choose what you want, it's pretty cool. Like that's one of the nice things about the Kickstarters, and being able to do that, cherry pick your favorite things.
Yeah. I really like as far as comic stores. Yes, I go into a comic store, but there's still a little bit, as much as we hate to admit it, a little bit of stigma of like, I don't know if I want to go in there with them nerds in there. But like every nowadays compared to when we were kids, being a nerd is cool. So like just like really getting those stories out there, getting them in front of people, like in different ways and different mediums, is really, really important. I know we've on this show, we've talked about some of the comic storylines before. Kyle, credit to you for creating Doofus Jerry.
Hey.
Like that's one of the reference that we still use here on the show, that we see on the Reddit, we see people talking about,
Yeah.
and we get email from a couple of different folks who periodically are like, can you guys please talk about the comics again? Like, we will, and then we forget. But we want people to get out there and see all the different stories of these properties that we love. So,
like you said, the collectability of this on the Kickstarter, the different box options that you have, and just like the high quality of like hardcover printings, like for somebody who hasn't been following the comics since the beginning, but wants to be able to have this entire collection and something they can display or something they can go back and thumb through. Like I think this is a great way for people who are new to the comics but want to jump in and kind of get everything on a shelf. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm counting on them comping me a box set so I can go read most of the stuff I missed.
we got to they have to send us one of each box set. Surely.
One of each. Surely. I mean,
surely we get one of each.
Somebody's listening, right?
They'll hear.
Somebody in charge listening.
They'll hear about it. They'll hear about it. Maybe not tonight, but soon. That's actually because I assumed that they would send us, but also I'm like, I don't know if I need 4. I'm like, that's maybe too much for Kyle. I won't have to blur out the background. I'll just have my mount behind you. Yeah, we're here for it though. We're here for it.
It's a fortress,
I don't know about you, Troy, but I do like to keep one copy of like everything I've made, which even includes, I mean, for this book, like some very rare variant covers that are probably worth. I'm like, no, I have to have one copy. When I die, my daughters will spend one day passingly going, "Oh boy, he made a bunch," and then they'll throw it away.
Same thing. I've got one for each of my 3 kids to put into the archives and stuff. So they'll be wondering, why do I have all these variant covers of issue 1 of D&D Rick and Morty?
Toss them. That's fine. Dad.
And the amount of those variant covers, man. I was at a show in New England last September, October, and this guy came up with all like an armful of Rick and Morty comics, and they were all just stuff I'd worked on.
The D&D
I
variant.
bet
There's
you,
a bunch.
bet you haven't seen this. Yeah, the D&D. I bet you haven't seen this. And the 3D cover, the 3D glasses with the foil with the, I'm like, wow, they did a lot of covers.
All the character sheets. The character sheet ones were very cool. The D&D stuff. I was wondering, surely all the variants are going to be in the back of each of those. That's a lot of just art, like just a lot of cool art.
Oh yeah, no, the omnibus is just boom. It's a monster.
Yeah, that's
it's
very cool. I think it's cool.
This collection is on the heels of, well, right before the heels of the head, I don't know, of season 8 of the show that's coming out here in the end of May. When we first talked to you, Kyle, it was before season 3 had actually started. We were still talking about season 2.
Yeah, for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. Was there anything within that span of time that you may have caught up on, and you're like, we want to kind of incorporate maybe some of these kind of changes that we've seen over, season 2 to season 8?
So 2020 was, I think, only have 2 seasons come out, 3 seasons. This will be the 3rd season since 2020, right?
Yeah.
Since I was working on it, I think that's right.
I think so.
Or maybe it's 4.
2017 was season 3.
Yeah, 2020 is when my last issue came out. 2020 is when my last issue came out. No, not really. I mean, it's because here's the thing with these characters. I'm sure that we could have a very interesting conversation, because it does do a thing where there are like, oh, this season Morty's he's not having it. He's sassy this season, and then the next season it's like by the end of that he learned his lesson and he's back to kind of being Morty again, right? I mean, the characters have progressed. Summer's different than she was in the first 2 seasons in a lot of ways. So I would say she's exactly still that character. They just gave her more time. So you could say the thing that's great with these characters is like they're relatable. The family specifically, I mean, though it goes past that, is that I think one of the great things about it is like, oh, I recognize that relationship. That's my relationship with my sister. Or, oh, I'm a Jerry, you're a Beth. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's great about it. I don't think those characters change much. And any of the greater lore stuff, like notably like Evil Morty, like in 2020, I had Evil Morty theories, but I wasn't about to do those comics because for sure they would differ from the show. Mm-hmm. And anyone who was enjoying the comics would be like, oh, it's not the show. And all I wanted for the stuff that I did was for people to go, oh, it's more of the show. It's more of the show. And no point to be like, wait a second, Rick lost his arm. He doesn't have an arm anymore. Like, how does he? That was like one of the big things for me. So I don't think there's any notable differences that I can think of outside of lore-based things that like we would have incorporated, but it just had to be very careful. I never touched anything I thought the show was definitely going to. So Rick's wife, right? Like who's Rick's wife? How did they meet? Where was he before this time? Those were all that some of those have sort of been hinted at since. But I don't think they necessarily changed the. So I didn't touch any of this. Anything I knew that they would get back to, I didn't touch. So I think the answer is not really. I think more. It's like how many side characters have, like, I wish, like that's who I wish I could. I'm bringing the whole heist teams back. I mean, I just want to use the heist teams. You know what I mean? Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah. So
I think it's good to keep the comics and the TV show separate. Like I always imagine the comics exist in their own kind of Rick and Morty universe that is comics.
Yeah, they have a number.
And they got their own thing going on, completely independent of the show. So it isn't slavishly having to be, okay, we have to update it because the show is doing this now. And it's got its own trajectory.
I would tell you, I disagree because the Marvel Star Wars comics ruined Star Wars for me because they did go their own way. But also, so when I started, we might have talked about this back in 2017. When I started, it was, I think in the comic, I even say like the TV universe number. Like I was told like it is canonical. And then at one point, probably fairly far, it's not. Spoilers, it's not, Troy. fairly far, like I think, so we'll say 35, like fairly far in. I think Ellerby was the artist. And I had this situation that was like a flashback, and it was like Rick talking to like a 13-year-old Beth or a younger teen Beth. And I don't know, I wonder if that, I'm a little worried about it. So I had this sequence anyway. So I messaged someone whose name we will not mention. And they said to me, they said, "Oh, that situation would not have occurred, but it doesn't matter, multiverse." Which is what they said every time we had any question about any of this stuff. They said it doesn't matter. It's a multiverse, and that's true, and that's one of the things that makes Rick and Morty great, right? It's the literal, from a storytelling possibility, from genre, like you can do anything you want. It's a mirror. It's such an incredible sandbox for storytelling. But for me, like I said, I didn't want to be like, oh, look, here's bird person, but now he's got dog feet. Because people are like, what? Like, this is not the show at all. It's clearly like slapping the show in the face. Like, we don't even want to be you. Which is a very me take, like specifically Kyle Stark's take, is that when I read a licensed thing, I want it to be that thing. I don't want it to be Kyle Stark's Rick and Morty. But I say this, and this was the sort of caveat as a bad Rick and Morty assistant manager that I was, is that that's for the main series. All the other stuff can do whatever they want, because I'm creating you guys know what the comic book universe number is? I feel bad I don't know it. It's like 336 or something like that. Anyway, so that was always sort of my thing. Like, we're going to be.
We'll dub that in later.
Yeah. We are the comic book universe, which is why I blew it up in the last issue. Like, I destroyed the universe because I was like, now you're not even doing the good comic book universe. You're doing an inferior comic book universe. Anything after this, which is why we went back to it. Which is why I wanted to go back to it, because I thought that was kind of a petty thing for me to do in 2020, like a real conceited thing to do. So we went back to it for the unreprintable issue. But do you know? So like Evan Dorkin's Bill and Ted, by any chance, are you familiar with Evan Dorkin's Bill and Ted? Mm-hmm. Evan Dorkin's Bill and Ted is basically it is clearly the movies, Bill and Ted movies, but he's kind of having way more fun with it, and it's not really those things. Like, there's like a little Grim Reaper, like there's all these other characters, and it's like that's one way to do it. But I think you have to have a real vision. Like, you have to have a real vision. But for me, I always think, like, I loved Star Wars when I was little, and I got the Marvel's comic, and this was, early 80s, right? And then Jackson the Rabbit shows up, and I remember it, like, I'm like, oh, now that I think about it, even the last 4 issues, like, they're just sci-fi stories. They're not Star Wars stories. And that was such a turnoff to me. And it was such a bummer, because I was so excited to get more Star Wars things, because there's only 3 movies. And a weird HBO.
I was going to bring it totally back to that and say, you just said a lot of things, and I didn't process any of it, because you said about the Star Wars comics. Now, Jabba the Hutt, the yellow alien, you remember him from the Marvel Star Wars things. So this is what we're talking about. The canon of Star Wars comics were ruined early on because it tried to fit it into the universe. So, yeah. I love those comics too, though. But yeah, they totally went off into different fields, and then just like, okay.
Rick Hoberg, was he doing Star Wars comics back then?
I don't know.
That's gonna be Troy. I don't know things like that.
I would read them. I didn't follow too many of the artists or the stories. I was just Star Wars. Give me Star Wars. I'm like, okay, yellow alien. That's Jabba the Hutt, I guess. Yeah. Until it wasn't.
Troy, were there specific elements or anything like in working on this project that you were like really excited or hoping to add in, or maybe something that you're like hoping to sneak into a background or some sort of
There was a little bit of element in one of the stories where I got to play with portals, or I get to kind of do different portals than the usual kind of green portal, because there's a reason why. But things moved around real quick. I find with Rick and Morty, one of the hardest things as the artist is you've got a show that has a very verbose lead character who likes to talk a lot. It's like Mojo Jojo on steroids. He just talks and talks and talks and talks. I draw, so I sometimes forget to leave enough room for Rick's dialogue. And then there's been times I've had to go in and edit, or in the D&D ones, Jim would have to go back and kind of truncate his dialogue so that you didn't lose heads and stuff to voice bullet and stuff. It's one of those tricky things when you don't know how that's going to come back. It's going to come back and it's going to be full of words. How much did I draw that I didn't need to draw? In a sense.
Yeah. I put a sun back there.
Yeah.
You had all these details to draw this stuff, and then you put words all over it. Yeah. You need a naked version where you just have Rick talking, just the artwork.
Yeah. Or just the bubbles, just the
approved.
Yeah.
But both approved.
Both approved, yeah.
Yeah.
We got to fill up all these books. So anything that we can get in there.
Yeah,
Well, gentlemen, we really appreciate your time coming to sit and talk with us. Congratulations on this collector's set. Congratulations on the Kickstarter. To everybody out there listening, go run, don't walk. Go support the Kickstarter. Get to those stretch goals, and just check out this awesome collection of Rick and Morty comics. If you are missing Rick and Morty the show, go pick up some comics because these definitely fill that gap when you're between seasons and things like that as well. So congratulations and thank you so much for spending some time with us.
And do you guys have anything you wanna leave us off with?
Wubba lubba dub dub.
That's a catchphrase, man.
If people want to keep up with you guys and other projects you're working on, is there any like socials or anything you guys want to plug?
Yeah, I'm at the Kyle Starts on pretty much all the social medias.
I'm all over the place. You can find me with my name on the Instagrams and stuff like that. Pegamoose Press is our home for indie comics for me and my wife Brenda. Got new comics I did coming out called
Oh yeah,
Ooh, nice.
also
out
with
some new
Oni.
Puzzle
Also with
Land
Oni.
soon. Oni
Alex
did such a good job.
Alex
on that, man.
Packnadell. Alex Packnadell's a good writer boy.
Yeah,
I'm
he
hoping
can
to
put
see it.
words on a page. That guy.
I hope I see him in a month too. He should be at MCM London, hopefully.
Yeah. We were having some beverages in New York last year, doing a bunch of signings for that Kickstarter, and had a great time. Yeah.
I gotta get that Cult of the Lamb for my kid.
Oh man, it's such a great story. I mean, I really loved working on that. So
That'd be awesome.
Alex wrote a killer story.
He's real good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thanks, guys.
dudes, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And I can't guarantee I'll get the Kickstarter because I don't have that much money. And
You can get the unreprintable issue though.
Oh heck yeah.
Oh boy.
Because the royalties go to you.
We say thumbs up to royalties.
It's the one that counts. If you're gonna buy one comic, buy that one.
Oh yeah.
Me and Troy say buy that one.
Buy that one.
It's a good. The comics like again. You're careful what to say, but like the comics are out there. Like if you just want to check it out, like there's ways to check it out at a reasonable price. But if you're like, I really want to get a piece of this special thing, I do think this cool foil cover never will be reprinted. I think that's cool on its own. I think it's a cool thing. As I said earlier, I'm very excited about all of my work being collected in one place and in one stop, as opposed to over 5 hardcovers or 12 volumes or however many it is. Like, so it's thrilling for me for that. But it is expensive, but not that the unreprintable issue is a reasonable contribution, and you still get a piece of this cool 10th anniversary thing, and you'll get something that no one else will have. And I think there's value in that too, though certainly 100 issues is cooler than 1 issue.
Completely unreprintable. Completely unreprintable though.
We'll never see it again.
You'll never see that's it.
This is it. The only
chance.
Can't be printed again. It's not possible.
I heard that they're melting the plates in acid, not burning them, acid, so that they'll never be able to. I heard that they were
where the bones come up and everything.
Yeah.
I
heard that they were going to actually put did you hear this, Troy? They were going to put a virus on all the Oni computers that would erase even the digital files to be sent to printers. Gone.
I'm surprised it went. Yeah.
Also, Scott Pilgrim, they're pulling him off. They're going, we're removing Scott Pilgrim from the Oni computers to keep him safe from the Rick and Morty virus.
Put him on an SSD.
Yeah, he's on a thumb drive, a very thick thumb drive. Made out of solid gold.
It's new management.
They're great.
It's a new world.
New ideas.
So save those original pages is what I'm saying, Troy. Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? Save those.
I got them.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
There's safe over here.
Yeah, they can't. That virus can't get to them.
They can't touch them. That's paper and ink. That's old school.
Yeah.
I heard something about a Black Ops Wetworks team, which makes me a little anxious. So, but I think probably you and I would probably be okay. It's just a comic book. They wouldn't go that far.
I'm in Atlantic Canada. They can't find me. I live on an island. I'm good.
I'm in southern Indiana. No one wants to come here.
We're both safe.
Safe in different ways.
Well, if this is the last time we talk to you guys, I just want to say it's been a pleasure. And
yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
All right, and there you have it. Like that was the interview with Kyle and Troy.
Oh my God, can you believe it? Can you believe it, Travis?
Can't believe it. Can't believe it. I mean, they're really great. They were just really fun to talk to, and it's just an interesting. For me, I think I have this preconceived notion that like the production for comic books is somehow like similar to television production or something like that, where I think it's like this really collaborative kind of medium. And then I talked to those guys, and it sounds like, Kyle's working on a script, and then, whether it's Mark Ellerby or Troy Little, like they kind of just get the script and start making the art, and it's a little bit more independent. And that's really kind of fascinating to me that like they're like basically meeting for the first time in our interview. It's just wild.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of. I feel like with Alex Fear and Fred Stressing, I feel like they had a very similar thing of like, this is maybe like the second time we've talked. One of those like, oh, cool, great, and it was weird for me back then. It's weird for me for now because like you think of a very very collaborative. Like, hey, here's my script. This is kind of what I'm thinking as far as the imagery goes. But instead, it's like, here you go. Do what you can do with it.
Here's the text files. Send me an email if you have questions. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's crazy that those comics have been going on for 10 years. If you go to the Kickstarter, they have a list of all the different artists that are in there. We talked about Ellerby, of course, Starks, Troy Little, CJ Stroud, I think was one of them. Like Little Poopy Superstar was in there, Pocket Mortys, all of those things. There's just so much content. We stopped probably collecting after maybe like the fourth the trade paperback.
Yeah, I have like a bunch of trades, I think. Like 6 or something, but yeah.
I think the last thing comics I got were the Dungeons and Dragons ones.
Yeah. And Troy talks about those Dungeons and Dragons books, like, and working on those. They are phenomenal. If you have not seen that Dungeons and Dragons, like the story, the artwork, it's really great. It's definitely worth picking up.
Yeah, and I've got all of those variant covers sitting in my box somewhere. But anyways, we are so thankful for that they came and gave us some of their time. Troy's up there in Canada, and Kyle is in the Midwest somewhere. So and we did it pretty late on a Wednesday. So thanks for them. Thanks for their time. Thanks to Oni for giving us that opportunity as well.
Yeah, and go support the Kickstarter. You still have a couple days to get in there. Even if you just get that unreprintable issue, it's a great way to help support the project. So,
That's right.
All right, that's gonna pretty much wrap up this episode. We have a little bit of time for listener suggestions, short outs, anything you're tracking or anything you want to short out, Brandon.
Yeah, I just I want to shout out the people who are hitting us up on X. Again, we're not judging you, but like we're doom scrolling if we're on there. Blue Sky and Instagram. We appreciate you reaching out and throwing us those links before we even get those links sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
And also shout out to in our the Reddit, not our Reddit, but the official Reddit. There's a couple new mods coming on board, so shout out to them. We're gonna need them. We're gonna need them for that new season, and I can start pinning more new posts.
We're just about a month away from new content. So it's wild. It's gonna be here before we know it. Exciting things are coming. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, please hit that subscribe button on whatever podcatcher you use. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's going to help folks discover this podcast who may not have seen it before. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all those things. Let us know what you're excited about for the new season. And we're excited for. We're about a month away from brand new Rick and Morty. It's hard to believe.
It's right. It's right around the corner. It's crazy. I mean, maybe between now and then we can cover Rick and Morty the anime again.
Just do the whole series one more time.
Yeah, just real quick.
Yeah, that's
And
our
with-
show, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll be back in a week or so with a brand new episode. Until next time, I'm Travis.
And I'm Brandon. See you guys later.
All right. Bye.